morning, everyone. We have a very special treat to welcome Kim and Kate and Barbara together to perform a prelude, a very special prelude for us. We hope that you enjoy this beautiful music and that it helps you to transition into a space for our worship this morning.
Come in from the crisp morning air outside. Come in wearing the autumn sunlight in your heart. Come in carrying the turning of the seasons in your heart. Whatever and however the greatness of life is speaking to you now, you are welcome here in this circle of friends. Good morning. I'm Beth Strawbridge, member of the Sunday Services Committee, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all, both in the sanctuary and those of you watching from home. If you are new or visiting our congregation and you're comfortable doing so, we invite you to stand and introduce yourselves. Is there anyone who would like to do that? And we'll bring you a microphone so we can hear you at home.
All right, well, yeah, I know, because you'll tell where I'm at. So my name is Jackie Markey. I'm new, actually, to Traverse City. I'm from Midland, and I was attending the Universalist fellowship down there. So this is, I've only been here for about 3 weeks. so yeah, it's my first time here, so thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Rick Vandaway, and this is Judy, and we're really old-time members of this congregation, and we've been gone for a few years, and now we're back. It's great to see old faces, and thank you.
Glad to have you back.
Hi, my name is Betsy Sterling. I'm from Austin, Texas. I have friends and family who've been members of this congregation for quite some time, so whenever I'm in town, I like to stop by and say hello.
Welcome. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Claire Lapine. I actually grew up in this fellowship. I did my bridging ceremony. I definitely recognize some faces and names, and I'm happy to be back, so thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Well, we invite you to join us in the social hall after the service for refreshments and conversation. And those of you who are visiting, we would love it if you would take a yellow mug, and then we can identify you, and it will make it easier for us to find you, to have conversation with you. And we look forward to getting to know you. It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives. For those of you here in the sanctuary, there's a book to your left where you can enter your message during the centering music. Reverend Alex will read these later in the service. To express those joys and sorrows that you may be holding quietly in your hearts, you are invited to light a candle at any point during the service, and those candles are also located over to your left. We are about to enter sacred time. As we start our service, I invite you to set aside the busyness of your daily life. Please turn off or silence your cell phones so that we might bring our full attention to this time together. And now center yourselves as you listen to Elegy by Jules Massenet, performed by Barbara Young.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. So I'm the Reverend Harry Potter, your resident wizard here today. It was a bit of an early morning for me, coming all the way from London on my broomstick, and I've been really working at my American accent. I hope I'm fooling you pretty well. So anyway, welcome. I'm loving the costumes that are here today. Thank you for those of you that dressed up today. Rumor has it there's even some candy out in the social hall after our service. Some even natural candy out there if you parents are a little concerned about, what we're going to give your kids. So anyway, welcome to this threshold in the year, a time when many traditions view that the veil between the worlds of the earth and the spirit realms is at its thinnest. And so as we settle into this time, I invite you to hear these words from the Reverend Lynn Cox. Welcome, you who approach this time as a journey toward the horizon, the beginning of the next chapter, seeking all of the insights and opportunities the new day offers. Welcome, you who live out your values with passion, who have a drive for transforming the world toward gratitude and healing, who are ignited by purpose. Welcome, you who ride the waves of life with serenity. You who show courage in facing the depths of true emotion. You who create and change and flow with time. Welcome, you who are here to seek the center. You who wish to be grounded in community. You who call our attention to this present moment. Welcome all from every direction, with all of your gifts and your limits, with all that the past week and the past year have given you. We find ourselves here on the threshold of a new day. Some would say a new year, at a time when the past and the present are stirred together in the cauldron of what we shall become. Today, we remember our beloved dead. Today, we give thanks to the people and the forces that have helped us to reach this moment. And today, we gather with the saints and sinners and souls who have been, are being, and will be this congregation, as we open up a new path to the future. And so come, let us worship together this morning.
Chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalist congregations all over the world. As our chalice is lit, let us say together the covenant, which you'll find on the reverse side of your order of service. I am accountable for me. You're accountable for you. In community, we hold each other through joy and conflict. We openly welcome all as we respond to the needs of the world. And we also sound the singing bowl to bring us fully into this space. Listen to the tone as it disappears. Now please rise in body and or spirit as we sing hymn number 18 in the gray hymnal, What Wondrous Love.
My young friends want to come up to our story up here. I see Waldo. I see a wolf. Hello. Good morning. How are we this morning? Are we wolfy? Should we howl? Does anybody remember, or do any of you remember, what we talked about last week? What holiday we talked about? Halloween. Halloween's beginnings, yes. Does anybody remember what the name of the holiday was? It's kind of a funny word. Autumn is the season that it's in. It does celebrate autumn. It's, Samhain. Very good. Good job. Kind of hard to hear through the wolf mask, that is true. So Samhain is the name of the holiday that we talked about last week. Does anybody remember where in the world Samhain started? It's a tricky one. In Ireland, or the Celtic people were the ones who celebrated Samhain. But there's lots of people all over the world that celebrate different things at this time of the year that are very similar. But I have just a couple of little things to share with you today, because Samhain, remember, is not just about the same things Halloween, or Samhain and Halloween are about similar things, right? It's not just about going out in our really cool costumes and getting candy. It's not just about carving jack-o'-lanterns, but those things did have a purpose. We didn't talk about the costumes last week, did we? Do you guys know where the tradition of wearing costumes came from, since we're wearing costumes today?
They thought the ghosts would come, so they would wear masks so that the ghosts might think that they were a ghost.
Yes, it was to protect them from the spirits. So the Celtic people thought that the barrier between what they called the other world and our world, so spirits or fairies or people who lived, in what they called the other world, could potentially cross over that veil. And so to protect themselves, they would wear masks or costumes so that they would think that they were fae, or that they were people from the other world, and not harm them. You know where trick-or-treating comes from? Where does trick-or-treating come from?
So once the Christians came, they wanted to change it to their holiday.
Correct.
Around the same time. And where the practice was going is sewing, which at one point, which I'm not entirely sure. At first, it was just like begging for food in exchange for praying for that person you were begging from's ancestors. And then the kids would go and get like candy, sweets, and money. So
She's got it. You're right on it. Well done. That is, yes, the tradition was that you would go and, would pray for people's ancestors, or you would go from house to house, and that would be, for the ancestors. And yes, they would give you treats in exchange. So yes, that is very good. Well done. And sometimes money, which would be so nice. So I have a couple of little readings today from this book that we'll kind of be using a bunch this year, I think. It's called The Wheel of the Year, and it's a guide to nature's rhythms and how we celebrate those different things. So it says, everything has a season. Flowers bloom, their petals fall, their leaves and stems dry out. Seeds scatter in the wind, starting the cycle anew wherever they land. When a whale dies, its body sinks to the bottom of the ocean floor. It is so big that it becomes food and home to hundreds of species for years, hosting an entire ecosystem. The sun sets in a fiery blaze, fading into the night, then gently rises again each morning, blossoming into another day. Summer passes into fall, then winter, spring, and back to summer. This is the wheel of the year. Every stage is sacred and serves a purpose. Each present moment is intimately connected to both the past and the future. Change is natural and unavoidable, but when we get used to something and it comes time to move on, it can be hard. Starting something new can be exciting, but at the same time, it can feel scary or sad. It's very possible to have complicated feelings about change, but our bodies and our minds are powerful enough to hold opposing forces at the same time, and multiple truths can exist at once. So since this time of year is about honoring our ancestors, I want to talk a little bit about our ancestors and who are our ancestors. Do you guys know, what does that word ancestor mean? We've talked a little bit about it, but what is an ancestor? People that lived before you. right? People in your family that came before you. So you have parents, your parents have parents, and they had parents all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, all kinds of parents, right? And so all of those people, until the time of the dinosaurs. And maybe even before that, who knows? Yes, back to the beginning of life. Maybe your ancestors were one-celled organisms, who knows? But our ancestors go back when we have this tree, right? So I have a little reading about our ancestors too, because we can think of our ancestors not just as, you know, our parents and our parents' parents and their parents and all of those people, and our aunties and uncles and all of those people, but the whole natural world. Because, right, from the very dawn of time, we're all made up of a lot of the same stuff. And so the earth is part of our ancestry as well. So I have another little reading to share with you about that. When bodies die, they decompose, becoming food and providing energy to other organisms in the food web and contributing to the soil so new life can grow. But what happens to the spirit of a living thing is largely unknown. Everyone is born from parents. Your parents were born from parents, and their parents before them were too. This is what is meant by the word ancestor. Many people were involved in making you, you. Ancestors can be visualized as the roots that hold you up or as a canopy that surrounds you, so like a tree, right? We talk about our family tree. Have you ever made a family tree where you have to do all the branches you have? Yeah. Ancestry can be complicated. Sometimes there are people in our family histories we don't agree with. Maybe we're even ashamed of them or angry about something they did or believed in. It's important to remember that no matter what, you are your own person, making your own decisions in life. Learning your history, whatever it is, can help guide your future. Not everyone is able to trace their history back very far because some stories have been lost. Even when we're not sure who our ancestors were, we can still imagine them and invoke their presence. Ancestors are not only the people you are descended from. The place where you live holds the spirit and history of all who once lived there. One word for the spirit of a place is genius loci. Have conversations with your elders and ask them to tell you stories about what things were like when they were children. Ask them about their parents and grandparents too. Someday, you may help pass on these stories to younger generations because you will be the elder. So that's something that I want to encourage you to do this upcoming week. This upcoming week, ask your grown-ups or ask other important people in your lives, because ancestors don't just have to be people that are related to you too. This whole community of people around you that love you and support you can be part of your ancestors someday, right? If people are just around you and pouring love into your life, they can be part of your family and they can be part of your ancestors. So I want you to take some time this week. If you have a moment, ask your parents, ask grandparents if you see them about their lives and get a chance to maybe share their stories so that maybe one day you can pass those on. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Okay, we're gonna sing our song and then I think we get to do a little parade of costumes. Does that sound good? I am a large-hoofed prey animal. Please do not eat me. I don't know if you've read Harry Potter, but you're not actually supposed to eat unicorns. Just throwing that out there. It's bad news. All right, let's sing our song.
Ready, here we go. We are children of the stars. We are children of the earth. We are spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are children of the orchard, we are children of the fields. We are planters and reapers in this web of life, and the vision that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being.
have to say I love the cat lady. Our stewardship reaches and touches those within and reaches beyond these walls. The baskets that will be passed have two sides, one for community needs and the other to sustain our congregation. There are other ways that you can give, and those are listed on the screen. You can mail a check to the congregation. You can give on the UUCGT website. You can give through the Vanco mobile app, or you can make arrangements for a transfer from your bank. May our offerings sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation.
It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives. the milestones and moments of our lived experience. I will be sharing the joys and concerns, stepping in for Reverend Alex, that have been offered up for us to hold on our hearts today. If you have a joy or concern that is a bit too heavy to share, I invite you to reach out to Reverend Alex or to the congregational care team. I know there are other members of that team here. Will you raise your hand? There. Okay, we are friendly, really. If your joy or concern is still raw and tender, we invite you to hold it on your heart as you are held in this loving community. For none of us is meant to travel life's journey alone. And so now, dear ones, here's what has been shared with this gathered community. A candle for Fred, a music director of 35 years at St. Francis Catholic Church, who was fired months before retirement because of his legal marriage to his husband. Holding the St. Francis community on our hearts with this cruel and divisive act. A candle for Cindy Jones as she navigates a challenging time. And from Barbara Young, prayers and healing thoughts for my sister in San Antonio, undergoing treatment for lung cancer, and now in ICU for an undiagnosed heart problem. Her husband is ill and needs help, so Jerry and I will leave soon to take up the slack. And we all need to just realize how fortunate we are. And now let's hold a moment of silence for the concerns and joys that remain in the silence and on our hearts.
It is our custom in this service each year, around the time of All Hallows Eve and All Saints and All Souls Day, to read the names of the members and friends in our community who have died in the past year and to honor their lives and memory. So would you please join me in a holding tender space as I read their names and we share their photos. Don Fraser, Barbara Stevenson, Martha Lapine, Marcia Bellinger, Karen Culp, Carolyn Thompson, Nancy Frazier, and Sarah Sally Neal. Amen. Thank you, vocal ensemble. Thank you for that. I'll be sharing a special meditation with you today that I'll invite you to join me on a journey to. This was a meditation that was actually shared with me back when I was a teenager at my home UU congregation in Fremont, California. And in our service that was centering around Samhain and kind of centering that holiday, there was a meditation that was led for me to go to the Isle of Apples. And so it's a sacred place in Celtic mythology where we might sometimes see our departed loved ones who we long to see again. And this has kind of stuck with me ever since I encountered it and found it to be a really special meditation. And I've tried my best to reconstruct it for you. I couldn't track down an exact copy of the words, but nevertheless, will you join me in closing your eyes? And if you so choose, to join us as we accompany one another to the Isle of Apples. So in this space, feel your eyes grow heavy, and at your own pace, take a deep and grounding breath. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a calm, mystical lake, surrounded by ancient trees and the whispers of nature. In your mind's eye, a small wooden boat awaits you, bobbing by the shore. Step into the boat, feeling the gentle wind on your face and the boat's smooth wood beneath your feet. And as you push off from the shore, let the gentle ripples of the water guide your journey. See the reflection of the moon on the water's surface as you are guided toward the Isle of Apples, a sacred place in Celtic mythology, also known by the name of Avalon. Feel the rhythmic motion of rowing, connecting you to the flow of the elements and the flow of all life. As you approach the mystical island, see the golden glow of radiant lights. Visualize the silhouettes of your lost loved ones who are waiting for you on the shore. Begin to see their faces come into focus, illumined by a soft glow of golden light. Sense their presence as a comforting warmth that envelops you. Now step off from the boat onto the Isle of Apples and allow the landscape to unfold before you. An orchard filled with ancient, luminous apple trees. Each tree holds the essence of wisdom and connection. Wander through the orchard until you find the tree that calls out to you. The tree where your lost loved ones also eagerly await your arrival. Now reach out and pluck a radiant apple from the branches. As you hold the apple in your hands, feel the energy of the island infusing the fruit with love and cherished memories. Now share this magical apple with your beloveds that are gathered there with you, savoring each bite together in a communion of spirits. Now take a moment to visualize all of your departed family members, friends, loved ones, and ancestors, all gathered around you. See them in a cloud of witnesses, their presence supporting and guide you. Feel the strength of your ancestral bonds and the wisdom that they have bestowed upon you, the inheritor of all of this wisdom and connection. See if you can feel the weight of their hands on your shoulders, this web growing outward, connecting you with everyone who has ever loved you into being, back to the start of life. And as we conclude this meditation, bring your awareness back to that wooden boat. Allow this boat to carry you back across the tranquil waters, carrying the warmth and love from the Isle of Apples with you. And when you're ready, breathe in deeply. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And open your eyes. And join us back here in this room, knowing that the connection to your lost loved ones and their spirits remains alive in your heart and the shared memories of this sacred journey. Blessed be. Well, thank you for going on that journey with me. So how many of you have ever heard of the Winchester Mystery House? A show of hands? Yeah, fair amount of you. All right. How many have actually been to the Winchester Mystery House? The one out in San Jose, California? All right, I see. Well, some, maybe. All right, cool. Well, when I think about things like spirits, seances, and being visited by those who have gone before, I think of this mysterious house that we visited from time to time as a kid. I don't know if you can fully see it with our pictures up here, but the house, in reality, a sprawling mansion, is a massive and convoluted structure. You can kind of get the shape of it in that photo right up here on the left. So originally built by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the heir to the Winchester Rifle Company, the house was purposefully built in a maze-like pattern. There are doors that lead straight to walls, staircases that seem to go nowhere, even rooms that end abruptly or are intentionally one way in your entrance and exit. The other photo up here on the screen to the right, the one with the hooks and the blue and white molding, is actually a photo of her rumored seance room, where urban legend tells us she tried to contact the dead, a room with a hidden exit so that she couldn't be followed. Now, there's actually no proof or evidence to that part of her story. I think a lot of that is probably myth and legend passed down. But Sarah did very much believe in spirits. You see, following her husband's death, she was rumored to be haunted by the guilt of his vast fortune, in part from the Winchester rifle, the rifle that was marketed by the company as the gun to have won the West. Sarah couldn't get this out of her head, wondering if the spirits of people who had died by the Winchester rifle might be haunting her. And so after consulting with a medium, the medium confirmed her worst fears. She was indeed cursed by the spirits. And so in order to appease them, the medium advised that she always continue to build on her home, never leaving it fully finished, so that the spirits would always remain restless, unable to find her or adjust to the layout for long. She did this for 38 years of constant construction until she died in 1922. And so today, the Winchester Mystery House remains, after all of those years, as a reminder of the spiritualism movement. A movement that arose in the 1800s through the 1920s that believed it was possible for us to communicate with the dead. Just wandering around that house, you get an interesting feeling like there's something there that might be more than meets the eye. And while I never experienced any hauntings or spirit visits, even while I was on one of their famous ghost tours, this place continues to reflect our cultural fascination with the paranormal and the mysterious wonderings at our abilities to possibly contact the dead. So our theme today, listening with the spirits, is relevant to the Unitarians, but also particularly to the Universalists in our UU family tree. I've been waiting all year, actually, to tell you these stories. I'm a bit of a UU history nerd. It is spooky season, after all, so we've got some interesting stories today, because Sarah Winchester actually married into a distinguished Universalist family. Did any of you know that? So the Winchesters, her husband's family came from a prominent line of New England Universalists, namely the Reverend Elhanan Winchester, who was actually one of the early Universalist leaders. And so while Sarah herself wasn't a Universalist, there were actually many Universalists and even some Unitarians who became fascinated with spiritualism. With the growing developments of science in their time, many wondered if the tools of empiricism and rationalism could actually answer one of life's greatest mysteries. What happens to us when we die? Universalists were truly fascinated with this question, following a pretty cohesive logic. If there exists an all-loving God who could never damn any of their children to hell, then what about life after death? If the spirit was something that was saved, then was it possible to communicate with those who have died? With our friends and loved ones who we miss and who are no longer with us? And so if you accept a Universalist viewpoint in only heaven in the afterlife, then it's reasonable to wonder if you might actually be able to communicate with those on the other side. And so Universalism, alongside spiritualism, blossomed in the time of the US Civil War, when many families were divided and even split in two. There are stories of brother pitted against brother, one a Union soldier, the other a Confederate, as well as the pain and grief that many families felt over the lost loved ones in their families. Naturally, Universalism's saving message spread to many in this time with its powerful assurance that all will be saved after death and that nobody was going to hell. And so interestingly, Universalism itself wasn't an organized denomination of churches until it came here to North America. While universal salvation had existed as a theology since the early church, some of you might know the name of Origen, a theologian who lived back in 225 Common Era. So this is a really old theology, but it hadn't yet become a specific denomination until it became relevant to counter the fire and brimstone preaching of the Calvinists in their time. And so Universalists became increasingly theologically relevant, and they became fascinated with all the tools to try and measure death or even communicate with those on the other side. One such question was around proving the existence of a soul. If there was indeed a soul, a spirit inside each of us, then shouldn't we be able to find it, to measure it? A physician back in Massachusetts in 1907 attempted to do just that, creating a scale bed contraption to measure the weight of a person's body both before and after death. And following this experiment, the physician finally found what he believed to be the average weight of a soul, 21 grams. That's like 21 paper clips. So, of course, this experiment was met with heavy criticism that the results were inconsistent and that the weight could also be explained by biological causes, the release of air, fluids, and gases from the body, rather than specifically measuring the soul. And so seances then became another tool at their disposal to try and communicate with the dead. Popularized by the Fox sisters in the 1840s, seances became sessions where you could channel the spirit of someone who had died and even see purported evidence of connections to the spirit world. Claims of rappings or knocks by the spirits, ectoplasm, this mysterious substance that was released when a medium contacted spirits on the other side, even reports of levitations built on this growing longing of ours to try and communicate with the dead. A handful of Universalist ministers even endorsed it as fact. The Universalist minister, the Reverend John Murray Spear, claimed he could channel spirits in seances, including even the spirits of historic figures who have been long lost to history. For example, Reverend Spear religiously channeled the likes of Benjamin Franklin, believing he could assist us in leading humanity in the future to new innovations. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to talk to Benjamin Franklin. But his written accounts of these encounters received both great admiration and criticism to the wider Universalist community. There was also a flip side to the whole spiritualism movement. People taking advantage of others in a vulnerable place, preying on their most earnest desires and longings. The monetization of spiritualism with mediums, psychics, and those who claimed to channel spirits from the other side led to widespread fraud. Universalists and Unitarians eventually became disillusioned with spiritualism, believing that the evidence somehow always fell short to prove definitively that contact had been made with the other side. Some of you may even know the name of James Randi. Have any of you heard of James Randi before? Well, cool, this will be new to some of you. So he was this famous magician and skeptic who made it his life's work to actually expose people like faith healers, mediums, and other fraudsters by showing how they actually created their illusions. And he famously established a prize, the $1 million paranormal challenge, that was available to anyone who could demonstrate paranormal ability under scientific testing conditions. How do you think that went? A prize that grew and grew in size until from 1964 until it was actually discontinued in 2015, with over thousands applying for it, but all of them failing to take it successfully. We still have yet to scientifically prove the existence of a soul, or even the existence of life after death. While we haven't yet seen convincing evidence, there is also much room for new and emerging evidence, using the tools of science as our guides and looking into the realms of consciousness, neurology, biology, and even death itself. Perhaps there is a dimension or plane of existence out there that is still beyond our grasp or our ability to sense it with our current tools. Perhaps to us, the living, it will always remain a great mystery, death itself being that final place where none of us can go, and none have yet, at least yet, been back to tell about it. Any attempts to measure or get at death seem to fall short. All we can observe is that when you die, you stop breathing, your body ceases its rhythms, and that you eventually start to decompose and decay. We do know on scientific principle that energy is neither created nor destroyed, the first law of thermodynamics for you scientists out there. Your spirit, or what we might call your spirit, does in fact live on in some kind of transformation or shift in energy. The atoms that make up you are returned to the world to be reincarnated and remade into something new. So where does this leave us? What happens to us when we die? At this sacred time of Samhain, Halloween, All Saints' Day, and All Souls, these traditions teach us that the veil between the earth and spirit realms is at its thinnest. If it's true that how we live on is in the connections we leave behind and the love we gave to others in our lifetime, living on in their memories, then it is all the more important for those of us alive to keep on living, to make the most of a finite life, to taste and savor the apples of memory and connections that others have given us, to share our own apples with those who will live long after we're gone. If we know anything about life and death, it is that all things are connected in a wider web of all existence. And so may we, the living, remember our connections to our ancestors and all those who have gone before. And may we hold them close and cherish the ways that they continue to speak to us in our hearts, even in ways we can't explain or prove, but are nonetheless real to us. And may we in turn lead lives that appreciate the preciousness of life and the joys of living this one wild and precious life. A gift we are each lucky enough to have in our short time in this grand scale of all things. Amen. Would you now join me in a moment of stillness? And now would you please rise in body or in spirit as we join in our singing our closing hymn, number 1001, Breaths. Anne-Marie will lead us in singing.
Fires
Remembering is the art of holding a memory and sharing it. As a practice, remembering connects us deeply to each other and to the love that sustains us. As the flame is released, may our stories and memories, the ones full of pain and sorrow, and those of joy and laughter, merge together as we reflect and remember and are upheld by the great love of those who have gone before us.
Well, now we can start part 2 of our service, which is my 2-hour length sermon on my love of Harry Potter, and I'll just get going. How does that sound? I'm kidding. I'll be quick with these announcements. I know we're always eager to kind of get on. Just to note that our 3rd starting point class is today after our service, so please join us if you're interested in doing that. We have this altar that you'll see, actually, the ofrenda, out in the social hall for Day of the Dead. So if you weren't able to be with us for that special potluck, you're welcome at any time. We have some spots available on some tables. If you'd like to bring a photo of someone you're honoring, a pet, a loved one, please feel free to participate and bring them to be with us on this altar. We have a special event this coming Saturday, Talking About Death Won't Kill You. I think I've explained enough about that, but if you're interested, just to highlight that, we'd really like it if you could pre-register in advance. It can help us prepare to get things ready, like lunch and other factors. So just a note to really look out for that if you're interested. This will be the last week to sign up for the virtual text bank, and so please stop by the SJA table, Social Justice Action Table, to pick up details on how you can help with the Text Out the Vote effort. This is an easy and fun way to get into some good trouble, so please go visit their table. And lastly, Rick Walter is taking signups for turkeys for the Harvest Gathering in a few Sundays. So he also is willing to take registration fees if you're wanting to go ahead and pay for your meal. So go see Rick, who is right back here, if you're interested in signing up for a turkey and for getting registered. That was pretty painless, right? All right. Well, now for the actual sermon. No. Please rise if you would be willing and join hands with somebody next to you. Or also we join in this practice of please do not touch me. This is our expression of that. Those of you online are welcome to also outstretch your hands and join us in this room. And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of our connections to all those who have gone before, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass the squeeze. Happy Sunday.